We're back with the life aspect, and we got James Cone. It's the James Cone aspect today. He is a writer, musician, poet,
Yeah.
overall creator, and a father.
Yeah, yeah.
Like right here, we have three of your books, and we have more.
Yeah, I have two other ones.
That's five books.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Where should we start?
Ah, we can start with. Did you want to start with my process on how I came up with starting to write books, or?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So originally, what happened was, growing up, I rapped. I started rapping at 13. So like probably around 93, 92, I started freestyling off the top. 90, 93, I started writing, and I just did it for the love of it. But then I wanted to make it by the age of 19, because I was like, if you're a teenager and you make it, and I was lyrically, I felt I was really good. So I was like, if I make it by then, people will respect it because I'm young and I'm lyrical with something to say. By the time I'm an adult, I'm like, everybody, you should be good if you're an adult and you rap. But like, I still rap, but I noticed that people focus more on the beat and the flow more so than what was actually being spoken. So I understood you have to mix, you have to make it like KRS-One said, edutainment. You have to be entertaining plus try to put some education in there. But over time, I didn't want to rap anymore. I was like, poets seem to be more well respected throughout the spectrum, no matter how old you are or how young you are. Poets are the ones, they really focus on what the poet is saying. And I was so big on my lyrics that I decided, all right, I'm gonna just take my raps and I'm just gonna go to open mics and do my raps. So I was like, okay. So then I was going to open mics and doing my raps without the beat, and people were really focusing and paying attention to what I was saying. So then years went by, and I was reading a book from someone that I knew who had written a book, and someone else I knew came in, and she was like, hey, if you wanna, she was like, whose book is that? I was like, oh, it's somebody I know. She was like, oh, I publish books. She was like, if you ever wanna know how to publish one, get with me and I'll show you. So I got with her. She showed me how to publish a book. And then I took some of my raps and poems and I turned them into this book, Reflections of Nebulous Eternal, which was my first ever publication. Reflections of Nebulous Eternal represents the Earth, because a nebulous is like a haze, a cloudy haze in space, and eternal just represents the eternal existence of all things. And so it was me explaining like how the Earth is an eternal haze. It's like constantly we're trying to figure things out, but then there's different illusions that block us from understanding who we are or even accomplishing our goals because we get distracted by so many things. And so that's where I went with that book. And then a couple I say a couple years later, I did the Indigo Renaissance, which is a book it's a continuation of the first book, and it's us coming into ourselves and removing the veil and actualizing who we are and moving forward to make the world a better place. So the first one is explaining how messed up the world is, and the second book is the realization that we have the power to shift the paradigm. And then Spiritual Dissonance is a book that I wrote with my friend Sharuk Quadri. He's also a producer and a MC from Canada. He wanted to do an album with me because we make similar type music, like we have a similar type sound, but I wasn't inspired and I didn't have the right equipment for it to sound right when I recorded. So I was like, I don't really want to rap. So he was like, well, we should do a book together. So we took at first it was gonna be like 100 different poems. We was gonna just write till we had 100 different poems, but then we was like, it might be way too much, so we narrowed it down to 15 poems a piece, and we go back and forth. And that one I feel like is my more personal one, because I talk about my own internal struggles and conflicts and things that I fail to perfect, or like harm that I've caused on other people as well. And I also talk about different things like artificial intelligence and our connection through the universe, because we're all energy. So I talk about a lot of different things on that one, on a deeper scale. And then after that, a lot of people were, because I'm a positive person, people were thinking that my my poetry books would, I guess, be uplifting, but I feel like they're kind of dark, because I really go into some things. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna write an inspirational book that people can use to better themselves and the world around them. And then that's when I wrote the Perspective is Reality, and I put paradise and destruction, because depending on how we interpret things is going to be the reality that we manifest. So if you look in negative of everything, then it's going to be a negative experience. But if you can flip it and turn a positive into it, then the outcome will always be positive, because that's how you look at it and interpret. Just like if you blame everyone else for whatever's going on in your life and you never take responsibility, then you might always be in a state of despair and pain, because you're always looking at someone else as inflicting the pain. Whereas if you turn it around and realize that, hey, I have some control over some of the things that's going on, then you might be able to change whatever is going on that's causing you pain or despair, and make it into something positive and a blessing. And then I wrote The Metaphysical Revelations. This is Sporadic Thoughts Deciphered. And the reason I wrote this book was because my first two books, a lot of people said I'm too deep with my poetry, with the way that I write. Because I didn't want it to be read like poetry. I wanted it to be read like letters. Just read it like it is, and what I say is what I mean. You don't have to try to decipher it, but people still want to try to decipher it. So I was like, okay, I wrote that book to explain every poem. This is exactly what I mean. So there's no confusion. You don't have to. You can take this book on its own and read it and gain the information, or you can take it, and every poem that I break down, you can go back to the poem in the other book and then get the exact interpretation that I was trying to convey to everyone. And I just released that book probably like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I didn't see that one yet.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting is like it's a whole bunch of like law of attraction going on, where like you feel like if you put out that positive energy, you're gonna get it back. Were you always like that?
No, not when I was younger. When I was younger, I used to I was a knucklehead. So like I used to throw chairs at teachers, flip over desks. I was getting suspended, and yeah, I was just a knucklehead. I wasn't super bad though. Like I wasn't like getting in a lot of trouble, but I would still do negative things, and I didn't have a positive outlook. I still smiled, but I wasn't so positive. And then what turned it around was like one year I failed school. And I was just like, you know what? I gotta repeat this grade. I'm about to turn up and be the worst person ever. But what ended up happening is like I ended up going to school, and like my friends and the community that I just had around me, like my peers, it was more, I felt like a more positive situation. Like the peer group that I was in before, I still think they were a good group of kids, even though they were like in gangs and stuff. They wasn't that bad. But the next group that when I failed that I got into, it was like everyone was just about joking and having fun, and it was just, I don't know, it was kind of like a different dynamic. Like you didn't really have to, we didn't have to fight all the time. Like, whereas before I felt like we had to fight and defend ourselves. And it was just it was more negative energy, I think. And then when I failed and I got in the next peer group, it wasn't as much negative energy. And I was just like, you know what, instead of being worse, I'm going to try to be a better person. And I was like, and for my parents, I was like, my parents are good parents, and they don't deserve me to try to be bad and messed up and do all this different stuff. I was like, because they're not doing anything to hinder my growth. You know, they're more of a positive support team. So I was like, that's when I was like, instead of being a burden to the world, I want to be a blessing. So then I switched my mentality. I was like 14, and from the age of 14 on, it was always about, instead of being a burden to people, be a blessing to the earth, be a blessing to, for my existence to be a blessing wherever I go. Yeah.
Because that's what you can control, right?
Yeah. Whatever I can control, be a blessing in it instead of being a troublemaker.
So then, like, what comes next for you?
Actually, for me, what I want to go is I want to help the youth. If I can get involved in like community programs with in troubled youth, or even youth that aren't in trouble yet, I just want to reach the teenage years, around 13 to 16, 17, and I want to engage in them in some type of way to help mold their mentality to try to be blessings instead of burdens, or whatever situation they're in, understanding that they can come out of it. And I also want to try to get into holistic practices, whether it's making natural products or it's me learning how to heal people through Reiki, which is a natural healing through energy, through vibrations, and absorbing the whatever pain someone is feeling and dispelling it. So that's the next step. Helping the youth in some type of program and trying to create holistic products and care for alternative care for people.
I like that. So why that age group, 13 to 16?
I feel like that's the most impressionable age. That's when you're still, you're not too young and you're not really older yet. Because I feel like when they're real young, I guess they're still impressionable, but they're not as, I feel like when you're a teenager, you're starting to feel like you're becoming your own person, your own man or woman, and the things around you, pop culture, your peers, can really influence you in the direction that you choose to take. Whatever is cool or popular, a lot of times people start to gravitate towards, and a lot of times society popularizes the wrong thing, the things that are destructive. And so I want to be someone that can relate to them, because sometimes adults forget that they were teenagers or that they were young once, and so they don't relate to the kids. They think that they're bad, or that they need or that they just rebellious and don't want guidance and all this and that. But you have to remember, when you were young, what was it like and how were you? And so I still remember how I was, and so maybe I can go in and relate to them on their level, and through that it'll give them some hope that, you know what, I see how he was before and what he's turned himself into, and he's a very positive and cool person, and I respect him, so I don't want to fail him, maybe, or like maybe I realize that I can do something else. I don't have to follow everyone else, or I do have hidden talents that I never realized I had, and now I want to tap into them and get them out to the world. So yeah, I just feel like the 13 to the 16, 17, that's a real crucial years of you growing up and being able to try to make mistakes and overcome them. And if you have someone that can show you a different way, maybe you'll change it. And I guess for me, because I was 14 when I changed, I feel like it was because of I was influenced by my peers, but then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be my own person, do my own thing. And also the music I listened to changed. Like, I used to listen to a lot of gangster rap and rap that was just talking about destructive things because it just sounded cool. Yeah. But then when I changed my mentality, I didn't want to hear any of that anymore. It was like I only wanted to hear things that uplifted and made me want to be a better version of myself. Because I looked at it as like motivational speaking. It was the exact same thing. It was just over instrumentals instead of just someone speaking. So even today when I listen to music, I look at it as motivational speaking. So whatever I listen to, I want it to motivate me in some type of way.
I like that. So what would you do with like kids 13, 16, like to help them find out what they're good at or like?
Oh, like that's the thing that like I'm trying to figure out like what type of curriculum I could come up with that would help them tap into their talents. Because since I love art, I would want to focus on acting, uh, writing, whether it's poetry or writing a script. So having kids try to write a movie script or some type of skits and just different artistic things. And for some, I know it might not even be on that level. Some people might just be good with their hands, mechanical. Yeah. And so, like, I would want to try to maybe get with like educators or something and come up with like something that would kind of show what their interests are. Like, kind of how sometimes you have like little tests and people, and it kind of shows, this person likes to work with their hand. This person likes to deal with math. This person, and then once we get there, I want us to create little like curriculums, extracurricular activities that would specialize in those areas and they could do. And at the same time, it doesn't have to be all serious. It can be fun, and we interact with them like just treat them like human beings, and not so much like I'm the adult, you're the child, but we're just human beings interacting and growing in whatever skills that you have. I'm showing you how to use it on the computer, how you can turn it into maybe a way to make money. Like on the side, you can go to Fiverr and sign up on Fiverr, and you can be a freelance, whatever it is that you're somewhat good at, and then constantly build it and actually get an income too doing it.
I think a lot of people like take that away from, I think everyone, where it's like, oh, if you're coming to work for me or you're under me, you will be this because that's what I want you to be.
Yeah.
But like the opposite of what you just said, because like they won't take the time, like, what are you good at?
Yeah.
What interests you?
Yeah.
Giving kids creative freedom to do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And then maybe they can turn that into a career. Maybe they'll be like, you know what, I'm good at this and I want to turn this into a career. Maybe there's jobs out there that we can help them find that support that, or we can build up their entrepreneur skills and they can just work for themselves and learn how to make money off of whatever it is that they love to do.
Definitely. I think this day and age, like, there's a lot of, I'll say, like, entrepreneurs and creators, because if you see like social media or YouTube or anything really, there's people like, I'm just gonna do it for myself. Like, I don't want to work for somebody. I just want to do me, and I think that takes a lot of heart.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think so too.
So is that something that you put onto your children as well? Like, hey, like, you will be a doctor.
No, I give them the total freedom of whoever they want to be. Even if they just wanted to be like a custodian at a school, like janitor or something. If that's what, for me, it's all about what makes you happy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, especially if they're in a position where they don't have a family to take care of, I'm like, you're 1,000% free. Like when you have a family now, you still want to do things, but you got to figure out how to get that food on the table. And sometimes it takes away from your dreams. So I tell them now, it's like, don't go out there and be having sex, even if it's protected. You can have protected, but you never know what could come of that. And then now you created a situation to where you're not as free. You can still do it, but you've created an extra roadblock for yourself. Achieve what you want to achieve. Once you got your building blocks laid out, then pursue a family or whatever. But I tell them, do whatever you want to do. I was like, because you're completely free. Like, if it makes you happy, because for me, it's not about money. It's never been about money. Even now with me having a family, it's like, it's not about money. I have to have my mental health and my inner peace, number one. And then the money comes after that. Because I was like, it's just a transfer of energy. Money is paper. It's just a transfer of energy. I give you a service, you give me that, and I can provide food, clothing, and shelter. But there's always going to be something I can do to provide food, clothing, and shelter. But if my mental health isn't there, then my physical health deteriorates. And then I'm no good to my family because I'm not right. Yeah. And so I tell them that too. Do things that bring you inner peace and joy. I was like, because you can die today. And if you stress yourself out just to earn a piece of paper and you never enjoyed your life, what was it really worth? Like, you got nothing out of it. You just slave for that piece of paper because you felt like you got to have more paper, or more cryptocurrency or whatever it is that you're chasing. I was like, nah, like inner peace and helping others. Yeah.
I completely believe that, and I feel like there's a certain like give and take with that, because at some point financial freedom does help you out, but it's
it does. Like, yeah, that's what it is. Like I definitely believe if you can get $1 billion, get $1 billion, but don't sacrifice yourself and others to get it. Mm-hmm. Figure out how to do it without sacrificing yourself and others. It's a balance. I think everything in life is a balance. Like even how you eat and everything is. This world is a balance.
Mm-hmm. If you feel way too much stressor on one thing, like it's only a matter of time until you're done. You know
yeah, true. Yeah.
So if you could have went, like, if there was a magic time machine, you could go all the way back in time. So let's say you were 8 years old.
Yeah.
Before you had that switch at 14, what would you have told yourself, or what would you have done differently?
Before I had that switch? Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Like there's some kid today where you saw him and like he reminded you exactly of you.
He over there throwing chairs. He wildin'. Man. What would I have told him? Don't let the one thing that just like my mantra is don't let an outside force control your inner universe. So what is it that is causing you to be unhappy or causing you to act out? It's like, because you have the power to control that, because you're not doing anything to help yourself by acting out. You're only causing yourself harm. Like, look at the consequences of you doing the things you do. What good comes out of it? And why do you want to cause pain upon yourself from doing these different things when you can have a joyous life if you just stay focused and behave? Like, cause I think we can create heaven or Hades by the way that we think, act, and react to the situations.
And that's one thing I learned over time is like you can't really control what other people do to you.
Yeah.
But you can always control your reaction.
Yeah, that's it.
Like I think like different times call for different reactions. But for the most part, like as long as you're calm and as long as you control what you're doing, you're fine.
Yeah, that is it. So I would tell them just control stuff. Like, look, you ain't gotta be out here throwing chairs and stuff. Just calm down. It's gonna be all right. Like, really, what is it that's causing you to feel that you need to act out like that? Mm-hmm. Is it worth it? Yeah.
So I think about the long term.
Yeah. Not the moment, but the long term.
I think we're all guilty of that, though. At some point where we just think, okay, short term, this. But I think like, it's the hierarchy of needs. It's like, first you got to figure out this. And you might not be able to think 6 levels up, or like, I'm thinking about psychological. I'm thinking just about my hunger, my need for a home.
Yeah.
And I just got to do whatever I can to satisfy that need.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. That is so true. The moment.
So which one was your hardest thing to create? Was it the writing, the poetry?
No, poetry was super easy. It was probably the one where I did the 4-week plan for, because it was trying to figure out which angle to come at and what I felt would be most rewarding if I die today. Yeah.
And which one is that?
This one. The perspective is reality. And it changed because originally when I was writing it, I was just going to ask a bunch of questions for people to analyze the way that they think about things. Like, if you curse but you don't want your child to curse, why don't you want your child to curse? And I want people to think about it. Like, why is it okay as an adult to curse, but then as a child, it's not? What's the difference? Like, is there really a difference? Is it society told you that you shouldn't let your child curse, and then all of a sudden you become 18 or 19 and it's okay? Or is it something deeper? If it's not deeper, then why do you care? Like, it was like stuff like that. And that's the angle I was going with it at first, for people to just sit back and think, all right, is this conditioning? Or is there really a reason why I think this way, or act this way, or believe this belief system? But then I switched and I was like, nah, I'm going to go. So it took like 2 years for that one because of the angles that I was trying to figure out where to go. And then I switched it and finally settled on just different things that we can do to better ourselves and others.
I think there's a lot of people today who don't really question either their beliefs or like why they do things. They'll just do it. And it's like, hey, like, have you ever put thought behind it?
Yeah.
Like what you just said with the cursing.
Yeah.
So who is it? Like, you have specific people where you're like, this is intended for this type of person, or was it just like, I want everyone to just digest it?
Yeah, it was just I just wanted it to be for everyone, like, because I don't like to. I actually prefer people who don't even think like I think. Those are the ones that I really want to get to. Because like, if you already think the way that I do, you really don't. All it does is sometimes it just feeds the ego. I already think like that. Oh, yeah, we're on the same page, and you don't really grow from it. It's just like reconfirming what you already know or what you believe in. Whereas if you have someone who is on a totally different path, it can. If you challenge the way that they think, or you bring something new that they've never thought about or seen before, they grow expeditiously, because it's like, I already have this type of mentality, now I have this on top of this, and I have even more to give the world. Yeah. So it's the people who don't think like this already, and for the youth, definitely for the youth, because I gained so much, especially through hip-hop music. Hip-hop music taught me just about everything growing up. Like, it was my I learned more from hip-hop music than I did from school. So the reason it was so powerful for me as a youth, and it opened me up to so much. I was like, this is incredible. Like, it was heaven to me. So I would like my books to maybe get to a couple of children and they read it and it's like, wow. Like, I remember I read Dick Gregory's autobiography and Malcolm X's autobiography when I was like 13, 14. And those two books were my favorite books, like very powerful, like to see the transformation, see how Malcolm X went from being having thuggish behaviors to going into the Nation of Islam, to traveling to Mecca and seeing that there's more than just black Muslims, and realizing that, hey, it's bigger than just what's going on in America, and trying to expound on that. And then seeing Dick Gregory go from being a comic to being a political fighter for civil rights and running for president. And it was just like, it shows that no matter what your background is or where you come from, you can achieve monumental things. And hopefully the youth can grab this and they can realize there's more to themselves than what's been shown through society or even maybe their upbringing.
Yeah, give them that different perspective.
Yeah.
I know, like, reading into Malcolm X, from his life, what I got from his life was, at first he was thinking it was all about like blacks were superior, and then he went into realizing that it was all about being partners. Like, he's not saying one person is more than
another. No one's.
We're supposed to coexist together.
Or that all white people are evil because of what's going on in America. But no, there are some good ones out there that are trying to create peace and unity in the world. And so his mind definitely expanded. And I feel like that at certain points in life, hopefully we all grow and develop from whatever it was that we we were thinking and believing. Mine happened kind of early because I was like 14, whereas a lot of people, they start to grow later. But yeah, 14 is when everything just switched for me and opened up, and I just tried to keep growing from there. But I'm still, flawed and make mistakes, and yeah. So it's just about constant growth and evolution.
So that process will never end,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Your deathbed thing, I could change a little bit. I know. One person was telling me about your 4-week plan book, the one in the middle here.
Yeah.
He was saying how he was going through it and he was kind of anxious because he wanted to go through the next step. He's okay, I have to go to this day and I have to wait.
Yeah.
And I told him you know what, the waiting part maybe is designed like that because you're supposed to fully digest that material for one day.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just that one day, sit with it, and then if you can do something this I speak about on that day, try to do it. But if you can't, at least absorb it and take it in fully and understand it, and then the next day move on. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
So you can't rush change,
Yeah. Because I do know some people's yeah, they got it a couple of days ago. Yeah, I've already finished it. I was like, you ain't supposed to. You're supposed to it take you 4 weeks to finish this book. You finished it in 2 days. Yeah, but it's all good. And I put random copies of the book at different places too. Yeah. When we took the trip to Africa, and when I go different, I bring copies with me and I set them. If I'm in a hotel, I put copies in the hotel. I give it to the receptionist, or I'll set it. If I go to a cafe and there's a table, or I go to a waiting room, I'll set it there. I'll ask the people, hey, can I put my book here? So it'll just be randomly in different locations and somebody might pick it up and hopefully it's beneficial to them. Or if not to them, maybe they give it to somebody else that it is beneficial to.
I like that because I think this world works in mysterious ways, and you never know that you're just placing that one book there. In 10 years, it might come back to you.
Yeah.
Full circle, you picked up the book in Africa or in Japan.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
So that wraps up our time with the man, the myth, the legend, James Cone, on the James Cone aspect. And thank you for everything for coming.
Thank you for having me.